wonder where that is.
Vietnam or Hawaii?
Probably Vietnam.
Yeah, you can see the
Rice paddies?
Viet Cong, I was going to say.
If you click on it, it'll show it. Never mind. Did you get our TV sticks? Buying books, sitting to school, and still an idiot.
Keeps the cover.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Pacific Calls. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver and the not so famous Steve Barber with us today. Would you consider yourself famous?
Never did.
Never did
will.
consider yourself.
Too old in life to try to be famous.
I cannot believe
you'll kill yourself.
You're fat shaming a guy today. You did, Steve.
A little bit you did.
Yes.
I just told him not to eat those snacks.
He was the only one that you told that to.
Yeah, you didn't tell nobody else.
If you'd have told everybody, hey, stay away from this, it's bad for you, maybe.
I don't even remember what we were shaming him about.
This
Hot dogs.
No, we weren't. You were. It's 2025. We don't talk to people that way around here.
Oh,
We're not, and then Andy gets award from the United States government for defending against ISIS on a goose hunt. Andy defended West Texas against 5 infidels
I did.
with weapons, and all he had on was a goose flag to protect himself. And you made fun of that too.
And my Bowie knife.
Yeah. Where's your patriotism at, Stephen?
it's in my truck.
You served our country. You were in the Navy.
I know that.
You served Puerto Rico well.
Yeah, y'all slept real well when I was in the Navy too.
So while you were defending Puerto Rico, where all did you go in the Navy?
I went to North Atlantic. Spent a lot of time in Colombia and Venezuela.
He ain't gonna tell us all the places he spent a lot of time at.
Did you go to Nicaragua?
I've done that since I've been out of the Navy.
Oh.
You just did a pleasure trip there
Yeah, cruise.
to Nicaragua? I never heard of nobody going on a cruise to Nicaragua.
No, it was Costa Rica, excuse me.
Okay, different places.
Belize, all of them are the same.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time in and out of Canada in the Navy. So I was in the amphibious force.
Y'all invaded Canada?
No, we didn't. All we worried about when you were 18 years old was getting the next cold beer.
That ain't all you was worried about.
I had my Bible with me the whole time.
Yeah, you needed it for what you were doing the night before to be praying for forgiveness.
Was the drinking age 18 back then?
Yes.
It was. So anywhere you went. What year did that change? You remember?
I saw it the other day. I think it was 1980, 81, 82, because it went from 18 to 19 to 21 because there was guys that were ahead of me like a couple of years in school that they were in high school when it was 18, so they'd go to beer parties in high school all the time. They had beer all the time. Then it went to 19, and I knew some guys. I think it was 80 because I think it was the guys that were about 6 years older than me. They were legal 3 times. They turned 18 and were legal. Then it was 19 and then 21.
Yeah. I remember when I got out of high school, it was 18 years old, and you could buy and drink beer. I think in 1968.
Your dad was really strict on y'all. Did he let y'all? What was y'all's rules on drinking in your house when you were 18?
Couldn't drink. I mean,
Period?
My daddy, when I turned 18, he walked me to the front door and said, "I'm giving you the world, son. There it is. Get with it."
Oof.
But you'd already signed up for the Navy at that time.
I was gone 4 days after I graduated, and I got to Chicago.
Did you go to Great Lakes?
Yeah, O'Hare Field, and I walked in that place, and there was probably 15,000 18-year-olds like me. And I walked over to the telephone and called my daddy collect, and he said, "Having a good time?" I said, "What have I done?"
Did you not? It wasn't. You didn't get drafted.
No, I didn't.
Did you have to get drafted because your older brother got killed?
Yeah, no, he got killed in Nam, and I didn't have to go. But when I was 18, I didn't have a clue about anything.
It was a good move.
I might put my right shoe on my left foot, my left shoe on my right foot, and think I look good.
Now, you only played golf. Was boot camp hard?
No, because Nam was hot and heavy, and they pushed you through real quick.
Oh.
And boot camp in the Navy wasn't bad. You just did a lot of cramming each other in lines, getting to food lines, and their favorite saying in boot camp was nuts to butts.
Nuts to butts.
And if you
still live by that.
Yeah, excuse me. Eat all you take all you want, but eat all you take.
Don't waste anything.
Right. And my service week in boot camp was cooking in the galley.
Yep.
Bad deal.
So what was your actual job in the Navy?
I was a quartermaster's assistant. I mean, a captain's assistant or quartermaster on the.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, you
Check bunks.
No, we didn't check bunks.
That's what I was thinking too. So I didn't.
Quartermaster is the guy that helps in the pilot house when you're at sea.
Oh.
And navigational assignments and that kind of stuff, because they still do the.
I've seen you screw up some shit. Did you wreck a ship ever?
No, I didn't ever.
They didn't let you touch the wheels?
No, I didn't. They set it on automatic pilot, and then when something was needed to change, the captain of the ship, not the captain of the ship, the captain on watch or in the pilot house did all that changing.
Did you go through the Panama Canal ever?
Yes.
Oh, that was interesting.
Yeah, they had no interest.
You didn't?
No.
Because you were fucking 18 years old.
I was 18 years old.
Now you would, wouldn't you?
Well, Kathy and I went through it about 10 years ago.
I bet it was very impressive, wasn't it?
Pretty incredible.
I was with Andy.
Did Jimmy Carter really give that away?
Yes, for $1.
Yep.
He sure did.
Fix that shit back, maybe.
Well,
it's crazy. I don't know what the answer is on that deal. I don't know why we gave the damn thing away.
Either.
And now we're going to attack Greenland, I guess, and take it from them, the French.
Attack it.
Well, no, but Trump wants Greenland bad. And you know what's funny? Macron, the
French guy,
pussy leader from France, said, we will stand up for ourselves. And someone said, well, why are you letting them take all your shit you got in Africa away? You're not fighting them guys. He's a big old chicken dick. But I don't understand. I did not know the French controlled Greenland.
I
thought it was Norway or the Dutch or something.
It's not great. It's not France.
Ain't it like Holland or Sweden, Norway?
It's the Netherlands. I don't know.
One of them.
Yeah.
One of them Nordic white places.
Yes.
Did you see what problems they're having right now? They have been invaded by the Muslims.
Oh my Lord.
The Somalians. So it was Denmark.
Denmark controls Greenland.
Okay, Denmark.
It's Frederick the 10th.
Okay, it's Norway I'm thinking of. Norway has been invaded by the Somalians. All them places have. And everybody's like, oh, we need to be like Norway. You know, they got free health care, free this, free that. Well, yeah, they don't spend no money on fucking military because the United States protects their ass.
I'm going to push back because we could afford it.
We could afford what?
Free health care. If you look at all the government waste that we have, we could afford a lot of shit that we don't pay for.
No. They can afford free shit though because they don't pay for no military.
But we could pay for our military and still afford it.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that or debating that because you're right. But what I'm saying is these countries over there, these socialized countries, they don't have to pay for the military because Big Bubba United States, the redneck place, is going to defend them in a fight, and they know that.
That's true.
But they've let all these Somalians come in, and guess what? They've got 1 million immigrants, and I'm thinking the right country here. I think it's in Norway. I talked about it the other day. I'm going to look it up just to make sure. Anyways, they've got 1 million immigrants there. Their population is only 3 million. That's it. And I'm going to look to make sure I got this exactly right because I don't want to screw this up and have somebody bitch at me. It is... Well, shit, I think they took it off already on my page.
So their population
is
4 million now?
Yep, it's 1/3.
It's a third of it is illegal immigrants or Somalians?
Yeah, I'm trying to look here where
That makes 25% of their population. If it was 3 million and they got 1 million immigrants.
Oh, it's Norway. Norway has 3 million populations, 3 million in Norway. 1 million of them now are immigrants that have come over there.
Yeah.
50% of every Somalian has been arrested there for violent crimes, rape, murder, or whatever it is. And they just keep bringing these people in. And then they're going to wonder in 15 years why they're a Muslim country because these people are going to keep breeding and overpopulating, taking advantage of all the free shit. And Norway's not going to be a clean, nice place to go to very long. And that's what they do over there in them places.
Well, this world is upside down, including the United States. But you can point the finger at one party and everybody knows what I'm talking about.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's fair to put it just on one party. We've been sold out by the rhinos too.
Okay,
the deep state, the uniparty.
But I think we're just one party.
Yeah. I think what we're doing is we have a leader now, the new leader coming in, that's not part of their shit and they don't like it.
Right.
Mitch McConnell's just as big a problem as Charlie Schumer is.
Right.
I think.
Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer.
I worry about Inauguration Day. I don't know why he agreed to that. I would skip it because I think the FBI and the Secret Service are going to
Close the blind eye to it?
turn a blind eye to what's going to happen on the 20th.
See, I don't think so. I think
Well, I don't think so either because he's had $200 million donated for the party for the inauguration.
I don't
Just
think,
telling you.
I don't think
I don't know
nothing's going
why.
to happen because J.D. Vance would take over or Mike Johnson would if they got both of them. But I think J.D. Vance, and I think there's enough people, Elon and all them people that can control the media nowadays, or with Trump on fixing and making America great
But
again.
he's already said he's going after the intelligence agencies, CIA, FBI. He's made them target number one. He's made that pretty clear with Kash Patel.
I understand, and I don't think that's going to change. I don't think getting rid of Trump's going to change any of that.
I would just go to the Oval Office and start working.
If I was in him in his boat, I would probably do the same thing. But I'm not worried about him taking office now because there's too much stuff going on. And now you've got Jeff Bezos all of a sudden was with Trump, and so is Zuckerberg and the people. Then people see where their bread's buttered, and they find out the American people have had enough of this crap.
Well, the American people voted for this change.
They want it. They don't want it. And that's what's funny. The people on the left act like we're going to stand. You know, it's people like you. If you take away California and New York, you're not even close in the amount of votes.
No.
I mean, Texas is more red than California. Than New York is blue now.
Right.
Trump picked up 1 million new votes in California. 90% of the counties in the United States went more red than blue. The people in this country have had enough of it.
Yeah.
But they always go by, well, he only won by 1.2 million votes. You take California and New York out, he won by about 7 or 8 million votes.
Yep.
I mean, I know you can't do that, but that's the people in this country have had enough of it outside of the big urban areas. What are you looking up, Andy?
Nothing.
Okay, I thought you was going to fix to fact check me on something.
No.
Let's talk about some fun stuff.
More pleasant.
So
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at the stuff in this office, and I recognize a lot of it because I was around or I was part of it, and like the waterfowl production area signs that came from North Dakota.
Well, I wasn't going to tell nobody that you stole it from North Dakota, but since you stole it,
It
up there,
fell on the ground, and I picked it up. Anyway,
that
What
was
are you
a fun
supposed to do with that?
that
You know,
was-
something like that.
that was a fun trip we took to
Yeah,
North
but-
Dakota
yeah.
about what was that 15 years ago, 10 years ago?
that's when I sprayed my hair. No, that's when I went to Canada.
Yeah.
Jeff got me on video spraying my hair, and I borrowed the hairspray from the.
You
You're
didn't borrow it. You took hairspray.
That's back when I had the Jimmy Johnson look.
Do they still sell hairspray?
Of course they do.
Well,
Oh, I don't
they
ever
did.
buy. I don't need none of it.
You look like you got cancer. Your head's shaved.
Steve,
I wonder what's
you
going to
have 38
happen.
hairs on your head. You comb over, so don't give me that.
Hey,
I wonder what's going to happen to the perm machines at all these boutiques because nobody gets perms anymore.
They don't.
the
When
older
all the-
women do.
They're about to die, Steve.
Yeah, but what about the young women that are going to become old women? You don't think they'll start perming? I think they will.
I
Andy.
don't think so. I think that's something. I bet all the young girls in your when you were a young Thundercat, I bet they all got a perm before they went out.
Well, most of those ladies still get perms. They
Those
don't get 'em.
ladies do, but when you were running around with Margot Martindale, I bet before prom she went and got a perm.
Well, I was running around with a bunch of those people, and I don't remember.
It's no place to be bragging about your sex life, Steve.
Not bragging about my sex life. It just you've
It
got
just happened.
You've got a point.
So you don't think the young women today, when they get older, so like
I think the young women I think the women that are getting perms now have been getting perms for 60 years.
because your mom doesn't get a perm.
And probably never had a perm unless
No,
her
I
mom
think-
made her get a perm.
I think she probably had them at time. I think it was. You might be right. Maybe. See, you don't think that the perms will be something going on 20 years from now.
I don't think so.
You think all the people that are getting perms will be dead?
My mother-in-law doesn't get a perm. She's at the age she should be getting perms. If you were going to get a perm,
Well, you got a point.
she's in her mid-60s.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I wonder if that'll come back around again because everything that goes comes back around. All styles and everything does. You don't think perms are out forever?
Perms are out. Does Kathy get a perm?
Don't put him on the spot.
I can't really answer that. She's got a lady that does her hair.
But probably not a perm.
Steve's like me. He doesn't ask.
Probably not. A haircut, and she gets whatever,
Yeah.
Set, cut, and set, or what do they call it?
whatever they call.
Right. I think it's going to go away.
It probably will, but I'm looking at these things around here. Old Beavis up there and ball shotgun shells, and
So you're reminiscing here.
Well, and your dad, and I like to talk about dogs and this, that, and the other. And
Puff's over your shoulder. You remember Puff?
oh yeah, Puff. And I remember the fire out here when
Beavis and Missy.
How old?
Beavis and Missy.
How many years ago has that been?
It was in 2000 and
was it?
no, it was 1998, March 12th, 1998. So 27 years.
Yeah, and had the old house there before you built that building.
That's right.
And came out here.
That's where you first met Ron. He was eating a tub of ice cream.
He ate a whole half gallon of Bluebell. And my daddy was with me. And he said, we went to bed, and that's when you had the kid from Texarkana, the guide.
I have no idea, but go ahead.
Brent, probably.
Brent. Wasn't he from Texarkana?
Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant. Close. And I think you'd take 8 people.
I don't even remember all the details. That old house, though, we had we had a place we lived at in it, and we had 2 bunk rooms.
Yeah.
And each room slept 6 to 8 people, probably.
Yeah.
Those were some good old days back in the day, man. We had
Was it cold in that house?
I'm sure there probably was times. It wasn't bad.
We had central heating there?
No. She had no house was built in 1920 something. But
y'all laid around a big table in the kitchen.
Yeah, we had a big table in the kitchen. We all sat around, and there was a small. We had clients that we met in town, and we had to rate the guys that were friends with us that were here. But it was a fun place, and we had anywhere from a dozen to 20 people here every day, and they had become really good friends, most of them, and we was around the same people all the time. We had some good times. I'm telling you right now, that first year that we leased that place, we leased it and everything on the way to the river, and I started coming up here. Me, Tony, and Dad started coming up here working on the place the very first summer. And it was a rattlesnake-infested rat trap is what it was. And we got it all kind of cleaned up. It just it was a time-consuming deal. And it was a learning deal, but it was a lot of fun. And it was a real escape to go from Wichita Falls to out here. It was a whole different world.
Sure.
It was 100 miles away, but it was just completely different. But had a lot of good memories and good laughs in that old house. I mean, a lot of good times. Just like I have from everything here. Like where we're sitting right now, this was the thing I had to mow.
Right.
And we mowed it, and we were talking about we're going to build a dining hall there, a new dining hall, and we built it right here on this spot. But
well, it's like we were talking this morning. Jeff was talking to all these farmers, and that's
on the phone the whole time.
But you listen to those guys talk. They talk about moving hay, sitting by the fire. Damn, it's cold. and it's just that's Americana. Those guys work the earth, and they struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all kind of a class of their own, and people that live in the city don't ever see that.
What was a little Barb there about me on the phone all the time? That's how I work. That's how I make money.
He's just on the phone all the time.
But I was doing business, wasn't I?
Yeah, but
or he gets bored.
Well,
no, Steve was with me. I wasn't bored. My phone rings a lot, doesn't it, Steve?
It does.
All morning long, and it
rang all morning long.
Other outfitters call me, clients call me, farmers call me.
You're just an important man.
I don't know about important.
He must have talked to Justin 10 times in 3 hours.
We talked to me and Justin. For everybody that don't know, Justin's an outfitter out here. Also a good friend of mine, Justin Hill, and we talk a bunch. You know, it's funny too. We've got clients that I'll meet, and they'll be like, "Y'all friends?" Yeah, we're good friends. Yeah. We talk all the time. We're good friends, and we don't always talk about hunting shit. I know everything going on in his life. He doesn't mind. He's one of my best friends in the world. He's a great guy, but we just do the same thing for a living. But we work with each other.
Sure.
Was it that way in the plastics business, or was it cutthroat?
Yeah, it went. When I was in the manufacturing business, there wasn't really many people in it, and then I got out of it because of a divorce, and then I jumped on the other side of the fence. And when I started selling pellets or resin, there's 10 or 12 people. And as time went on, today there's probably 60 people. Mm. And it's very competitive, and it's all works in quarter cents. You know what I'm saying?
Dollars and cents.
No, a quarter. You know, a quarter of a cent, 25% of a penny. It's crazy. People have moved business for $50 a load just because they're pinch pennies, and they're looking. It's all about them. But over the years, you build relationships with people, and it's relationships, me and you. And normally there's a little bit of patience, not patience. That's not the right word. There's a little bit of they're going to come to me before they pull the trigger with anybody else.
Oh, right. Test the waters.
Yeah, it's
Price matching.
Yeah, it's really gotten competitive, but everything's gotten competitive. The banking business has gotten competitive. The investment people have gotten competitive. Car people, insurance, everything's gotten competitive.
Yeah.
Because everybody's trying to make a living.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens whenever your generation gets totally out of the way as far as the workforce goes.
Yeah. Well, the greatest generation.
If there's going to be as much competition.
Well, the greatest generation is just about gone, so we're next up.
Yeah.
What
I don't know how many more from the 40s. You mean?
Yeah,
or no.
World War
earlier
II.
than that.
World War
The
II people. Yeah, World War II people.
People that was born in the 30s, most of them in 20s,
Yep.
20s and 30s. Me and Steve talked about this today. Like our business, you're gonna be the last one standing here, unless one of your boys wants to take it over. And it's gonna be different here because we rely on family. I mean, just like we just got a text from a company that needs you to send something to them on a group text meeting you're on, and you're gonna take care of that. I was like, yeah, Andy will take care of it, but I've got people I can count on. Andy's got somebody to count on. Tony, Michelle. I mean, we've got working this way, and I can't imagine me being here and taking care of myself because I know how depressed I get. Not depressed is not the word. I just reminiscent. I think about stuff when I walk through the door, and I think about all the people that have been here that are no longer with us because we've lost some good employees that work here have passed away, and I've had some ex-guides that have worked here that have passed away, and we're just getting older and clients, but. One day Andy's going to come here, and there ain't going to be a Tony, a Jeff, or Mom here.
How old are you, Andy?
37.
How old was that?
32.
Okay, well, and you're 50.
6. I'll be 57 years old on leap year.
Yeah. Not very. 60's not too bad. Buddy, let me tell you something. When you hit 70, the wheels start coming off.
In your whole life of hunting waterfowl, and you've hunted all over and you've done a lot of things, what is the best hunting memory you have?
I had some real good memories with hunting with my daddy at a little place in East Texas where we lived, a place called Club Lake, and it was, I don't know how big that lake was. It was probably 150 acres, and that may be overstating it, but it had what we call an upper lake that you went through a slot in a little dike. And then it opened up into a 20 or 25 acre lake. And that, when we were kids, he built a redwood duck line. All out of redwood, creosote post, and
Last forever,
still there. And we didn't have motors. We rode probably in the mornings. We'd rode probably, I don't know, a quarter of a mile in the dark. Of course, we didn't have any competition. But up in the upper lake, it was real shallow. And when it was cold, we put on as many pairs of socks and as many pairs of jeans and as many shirts and stuff. And my daddy was the worst duck caller I had ever been around. And he had 3 slots cut in the front of the blind. And back then, he tried to get everything light on the water so we could skillet shoot them. We were kids. And I laugh at people, and somebody would say to you, you still shoot ducks on the water? And I said, yeah, if I get the chance. But that was really a lot of fun with him. He grew up when they used live decoys. And he grew up, my grandfather had a place down by Alto called Lake Durham. And Pop talks about my dad's been dead. Probably 20, 15, 18, 20 years, something like that. He said, Granddaddy is what we call him. He'd go out to the pen and get 1 or 2 mallard hens, put them in a tow sack, and they'd take them down there and they'd tie a string on them and to a stick and stick them down in the mud, and they could swim about 2 or 3 feet. And he said if there was a duck within a half a mile, she or they would start hollering, and he said it was just like a magnet.
Really?
And he said that's when there was no limit. And anyway, my best memories, and then goose hunting, learning how to goose hunt down in Leslie Prairie, which is down by Hungerford and Morton, Eagle Lake area. all rice paddies. Most of that stuff's gone now because of
Houston's grown.
Yeah, because of residential development and commercial development. There's still a few people down there that that grow rice, but not many. It's changed like that in Arkansas too. But we used to go hunting with a guy named A.B. Hudgens in rice stubble, and he would cut out with a brush hog a place that was probably 200 by 200, and he put full body decoys out and left them out all season. No movement.
What were the full body decoys made of back then?
Some kind of metal, or I don't even remember because we never touched them. Probably looked at them and didn't think anything about it. But,
Well, I'd love to have one of those.
But my mother would take sheets, white sheets, and tear them, 18 inches by 18 inches, called them whites, and you'd take them and drop them on rice stubble to increase, because most of the geese down there were snows and blues.
Mm-hmm.
And they had two-man pits in that spread. And he'd have a trail with reflectors. And he called them guides. There was a black family down there by the name of Whalen family, and there was a bunch of them. And they'd hunt. You'd meet in the morning at a place and eat breakfast. And he'd have, he might have 65, 70 people. And everybody was in groups of 4. And he'd say, okay, group 1, 2, 3, y'all are going with Mark Whalen, and you follow him, and he'll stop, and you're the first stop, you're the second stop, you're the third stop, and you're the fourth stop. And he'd stop at the pathway, and he'd say, follow these reflectors, and you'll find the pits, and get in there and load up. And it was either feast or famine. You either killed a bunch, or a lot of times you didn't kill anything. But that was a...
and this was at Eagle Lake?
Yeah. Eagle Lake.
This is pre Johnny Sports Shop then?
Yes.
What years was this?
I was probably 8 or 9 years old, so that was in 1958 and 59.
Man, I would love a time machine. I don't give two shits of going back to the Revolutionary War and stuff. I would love to go back to 1952, 53 and go look at all these little things we had and how people did stuff. Yep. I would drive through the country and just look at the old farms and the old farm equipment and everything. That would be so neat to go back to see that old waterfowl stuff.
But anyway, to finish that story, when you kill birds, you dropped them off at the Whalen family house, and they had a big steel or cast iron pot, huge one, that had a fire bed and the water was boiling, and they dunked every goose, and they picked every goose, and they put it in a bag, put the liver and the gizzard and everything in it, and back then I think it was $1.50 a bird, but you dropped them off, you went back to the motel, got cleaned up, got your stuff ready, and then you'd go back 2 hours later or stopped and ate lunch at 2 hours later, and you'd pick your birds up. But just a totally different deal. Of course, they saved all those feathers and sold them to people that made...
Down.
Yeah, down,
We tried to do that one year.
When I first got in business, I had...
Well, I remember.
We had bags, and they used cheesecloth is what we put them in.
Yeah.
And then they got wet, and we never did nothing with them. But hell, there's no tell me thousands of pounds of goose down we had back then.
Was that when you...
In town. And even down here we had it one time. We ain't plucking no more birds here ever again. But
had that plucking machine with the rubber fingers on it, and then the feathers had some sort of exhaust system, and the bag on top would catch it. I'm sure Ron rigged it up.
It worked.
It worked.
Yeah, it did. But it was different a lot of time. What did we talked about this earlier? Me and Steve did. We were talking about there was more duck hunters when Steve was growing up there is now, and I have a hard time believing that, but I do believe it. It just doesn't seem real. But we're better hunters today than we were back then. The guys back then would go out and shoot 2 or 3 ducks, and that was their family meal.
Sure.
It wasn't going out shooting 50s and 100 stacks like people do today.
Right.
No, every duck that we killed was picked. Even back when I was a kid, we picked them at home.
You should.
And my mother would cook them, and they wouldn't sit around long.
How did she cook them? What was her favorite goose recipe or duck recipe?
She just baked them.
Whoa, God.
She took an orange and an apple and cut it up and stuffed it inside the cavity. And then she had some kind of basting stuff to try to keep it
moist
and take the skin off of it. And she'd baste it for so long, and it was fine.
I would eat the orange and the apple.
Yeah, and throw the duck away.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about limits. The kid that comes up here with Matt Marshall from Oklahoma, or
Chad.
Chad. Mm-hmm. He's got a group of friends that are big, heavy duck hunters, and we were looking at pictures when they were up here in November. And somebody showed a limit of 12, two of them hunted. Somebody showed a limit of 18, two of them. He showed a picture of 14 of his buddies. They all killed 6 birds. That's 84. That's 84 ducks. And I said, "How often do y'all do that?" And he said, "Anytime we go, we try to kill our limit." And he said it may take. Of course, none of them are married. None of them have families. And he said, Chad's probably what, 21?
Probably.
No, maybe
Chad,
22.
He's that old even. But let's say 21. Let's just.
Anyway, he says, I've got a bunch of friends, and he said Saturday and Sunday we go duck hunting, and they hunt public lakes up there.
Mm-hmm.
And he said we'll start at shooting time, and he said it may take us to 2 or 2:30 to kill our limit, but he said we stay till we get our limit.
That's what they want to do as kids.
Right.
And I can't knock that because I'd do the same thing if I was a kid. But that's one of the things we're dealing with now is people shooting 84 ducks.
Right.
Back when you were a kid, that never happened. No. I mean, I'm the same guy that was on hunts where we killed 50, 60 mallards as a kid, just me, Dad, and Tony, because our limit was 100 shells. We weren't thinking about conservation either. An outfitter, and I'm not going to say who he is, hunts in a different state, calls me the other day. And he was mad because he'd gotten bumped on a place to hunt. And he was telling me the problem is they're shooting too many damn birds up here. The limits are too liberal. This state would be north of Texas, and I'm not going to say where it's at. 2 days later, he's got a picture of them killing 116 birds. You're sitting here bitching to me because the guys are shooting all the birds. There's not a lot of birds this year because you're down on numbers because we haven't had no winter. But then you do the same thing you're bitching about this guy to do it. Get together and come up with a shorter limit. We've done that this year. We have a 3-bird limit. Yeah. The state's giving us 5. We're doing 3. We haven't went over that yet. We're not going to. That's our limit, and we're sticking to it because we're in it for the long run. And them guys in these other states, they're shooting 8 and 6 and 10 geese a day. You're playing with your destiny.
Yeah, I don't know. What's the limit in Louisiana?
Oh, their limit's probably the same as ours.
Ducks, I'm sure.
Yeah,
well,
ducks.
I've got a customer, still got a little customer that goes down. Got a friend that he met through church that worked for a big oil company. And part of his retirement was being able to lease an island that's 6 miles off. They go to somewhere in Louisiana. They go 6 miles out into the whatever you call before you get to the ocean. It's in the
probably the Delta.
The Delta, okay. And he said he goes down there twice a year. And I asked him last week. I said, "How are they doing down there this year?" And they hunt his family goes down there and spends 70 days in duck season. And they bring friends and friends and friends. And he said, they've killed 5,500 birds this year. And I said, is it legal? And he said, everything's legal because the game wardens know what's going on. But he said, they'll hunt 10 people every day. Mm-hmm. And he said, it's not the quality duck that you want, but
it's ducks.
It's ducks, and they're fun to shoot. Now, I've killed enough ducks and I've killed enough geese, and I've gotten old enough where people I hunt with, hell, they've already shot 3 times, and I'm still trying to get out of the stool. Dickie's the same way.
It's not as important to you as it used to be.
And
the killing part isn't. The hunting and camaraderie is important,
right.
But the actual killing stuff is not that important to you.
Well, Andy doesn't get to shoot because of guys.
Never.
Well, he's not a very good shot, though.
But
I put on a fucking clinic.
But he's like me. He's used Lou's half brother this year, and he like me. I get more fun out of running the dog than I do shooting shotgun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I never shot a lot, even growing up. Just kind of the nature of the phone call.
No, Tony needs a code.
Huh?
Tony needs a code.
Tony needs a what?
Just continue. I'll be right back.
Hey, keep that door open. It's hot in here.
Anyway, I don't.
I never shot much, even growing up as a kid, so it's not really anything that was that important to me. The way I figure it is, I'm doing the hard part.
Right.
I mean, I'm getting the birds to come in, and do that whole dance. So that's kind of just where I've always gotten my kicks off.
When I was talking a while ago, when we were kids, we dove hunted.
Uh-huh.
My dad didn't dove hunt.
Yeah.
And where we lived growing up, behind us was a cow pasture. knew the landowner. Mm-hmm. Back then, you couldn't start shooting doves at 12 o'clock.
Really?
Yeah,
you couldn't hunt them in the morning like you can now?
No, you could not. 12 o'clock till sunset. And they changed that. I don't remember when they changed it. It's a lot better because it's not as hot on you.
Yeah, or the dog.
Or the dog if you use it. Now, Thunder didn't like, he'll retrieve dove, but he don't like the feathers in his mouth.
No, Lou didn't like him either.
No.
Even when we were like doing the pigeon training with a live bird, whenever we introduced that, same type thing. Feathers come out and spend more time spitting the feathers out than they do.
Well, that's funny. When Thunder was, I guess 18 months, he had been, he's a year old. And I had him with Beverly. Can't remember Beverly's last name. Ron told me I called Ron. This is how afraid I was of Ron. I said, hey, I'm going to let Beverly, and he knew Beverly and her husband. Both were dog trainers. He said, I'm going to take her there because she's in Burleson, and that's when I was in Granbury. It's closer.
Yeah.
He said, let her do the obedience and all that stuff. And then he said, let me take him after 6 months. And then she got sick, and it worked out perfect because I went and picked him up, and he came out here. But I called him before I came, and I said, I had some ducks in the freezer that I had frozen. I said, he ain't birdie. He said, let me tell you what you do. Go buy a feed store and get 8 or 10 or 12 pheasants. And I said, what'd I put them in? He said, put them in a dog crate.
Leave that door open, please. It's hot in here.
And give them some water. And if you're going to be out here in 3 or 4 days, throw some lettuce or something in there for them. Well, I brought them out here, and we went out to the pheasant field. And he got a pigeon out. He put most of them out here somewhere.
Are we talking about Dad?
Yeah. Trying to teach Thunder to be birdie because when I got him back from Beverly.
I remember those days.
Anyway, he wasn't birdie. He pulled a pair of scissors out of his pocket, and he grabbed that pigeon and he said, hold this wing. And he clipped up all the way up. And he said, I'm going to walk down here about 75 yards, and I'm going to shoot a dummy. I'm going to throw this bird up and shoot a blank. Good God Almighty! You thought the house had been set on fire. And from that day forward, and he got on me because I'd throw one away that had 2 or 3 feathers left on it. He said,
what the hell are you getting rid of that for?
What are you getting rid of it for? And I said, well, it's gone. He said it had 2 or 3 feathers left on it. But that sure would make him birdie.
It does. Yeah, that we started with Lou. It wasn't quite 75 yards. It would be 20 or whatever, and just kind of get him excited about the bird. And then, they make that big flap down trying to fly away, and they don't have the flight feathers anymore, and creates a lot of excitement. And then, like you said, just kind of get the range built into him. Ron knew a lot about dogs.
Well, he was a good dog man. No question about it.
He was. He cared about the dogs.
Yeah, he did. You know what's funny about the pigeons is that he had called it death row. That was his pigeon coop. But if a bird made it through 2 training sessions, it got retired. Then it was free, but it had to survive 2 training sessions.
He would just set it free, or he'd let it live in the bird cage.
After the 2 times they could run, Dad had pigeons in Wichita Falls that they'd fly all over the place. They had 200 or 300 of them probably.
I just don't know how
he had
soon their flight feathers grow back.
No, they would grow back, and then if they survived two terms of getting trained with, they were free. That was their free. They were free to go. Let them come and go.
He told a story about Wichita Falls. He got off work one day and needed some pigeons. Y'all probably heard it. And he had a big cane pole with a net on the end of it, and he was under the highway system, parked on the side of the road, and somebody called 911 and said there's a guy out there with a cane pole trying to catch those pigeons.
No. They called in he was going to commit suicide. They thought he was going to hang himself is what they were doing.
Anyway, the police pulled up on him. They said, it's Ron Stanfield. Don't worry about it. But he was a character. Anyway.
It's hard to believe in a town the size of Wichita Falls that they'd just be like, it's just Ron. 100,000 people, and they knew it was him.
Yeah, but the firemen and the policemen were a tight group of people.
Sure.
It was a pretty tight fraternity. Wichita Falls was a big small town. You couldn't go anywhere and see people you didn't know. It was a weird deal. I don't know if it's because outside of the base was the only transient people that come in were the military base people, and they kind of stayed to themselves. And matter of fact, I don't think people in Wichita Falls really appreciated Shepherd Air Force Base till probably when the oil boom or crash in 1980s hit. And then they realized how important the economy was, the military. But it was a big, small town.
Yeah.
Everybody traded with each other. Everybody knew each other. It was a whole different world. I can't think of a better time to grow up than I grew up in the 70s. I cannot think of a better time for people to grow up than what it is.
In Wichita Falls or in general?
I think in general and in Wichita Falls. I was talking to Benny Schlegel, client of ours, really nice guy, good friend of mine. He grew up in Los Angeles, and I did not know that. I thought he was from Holiday, Texas, where he lives.
Boy, but he's glad to be out of that shithole.
But he said growing up, and Benny's older than me, he said growing up in the late 60s in California was a really good place to live. You know, he said everybody knew their neighbors. I mean, it was a good place to be. It wasn't a shithole like it is now with all the liberal crap. It was a regular, people went to church, people, everybody was accountable. Neighbors got on to people's kids if they were bad and stuff. It was just normal deal go.
People probably didn't have to lock their door in L.A.
No, he didn't. He said it was no different than living anywhere else in this country.
Yeah, it's crazy the way that place has turned out.
Well, even Arlington, where you lived at, you lived in Arlington for a long time. Do you even recognize Arlington anymore from where?
No.
When you were there, it was not that big a place.
No. And now it's probably 400,000 people, and people don't even like living there anymore.
No, you don't.
It's basically part of the inner city.
Yeah, we the other day
like Dallas, it really is.
Shithole.
I had a guy the other day we were here talking about growing up and stuff, and we were talking about the differences between growing up in the 70s and 80s because compared to today. I grew up in the same neighborhood. The same people lived by us the whole time I grew up there.
Well,
the older people were there. You had the older kids that babysitted and take care of you when you were there, and then you got older, you were doing it to the other kids. But it was the same nucleus of people. Now you live in a neighborhood and people come and go all the time.
Sure.
There wasn't a lot of rent houses then. People owned their houses. People could buy a house. So you had young families that were there and they stayed there forever. And they'd take a house and you could tell a family that was, as their business was growing or whatever they did, they made more money. They would remodel their house and they would add the garages become living rooms that they built in their dens. They built carports on, but everybody lived in that house, and those old people died in that house. They bought their house when they were 22, 23 years old, and when they died at 75 or 80 or 85 or 65, they still lived in the same place.
Right, and the kids usually in the smaller towns or the close-knit neighborhoods, the kids have moved off because, let's face it, the money's in the big city.
Yep.
And that's where everybody goes. Well, your son wants to get out of the Army, and he wants to live in Fort Worth, Texas, because that's where the money is. And those people that die in those houses, people come in there and buy those houses and either flip them or they rent them.
What are you fixing to do, Andy? You just bought a house. Another one.
Slumlord.
Well, Are you going to sell that if someone makes you a really good deal on it?
Probably not. I don't think we could get our money back.
I don't know if you put money into it. I bet you could.
I don't think so.
Are you going to do the work yourself?
Yeah.
Well, of course he is.
Right.
Fucking Chip Gaines over here.
Oh, is that
So your goal is to rent your house out, the new one you bought.
For 50 years.
No, that's Lung's plan.
Well, that's hey, at least you got a goal out
Yeah,
there.
that's no doubt. I mean, I hope you live that. I hope you see it. I won't be here to see that through. So
You'd be 87.
Hell yeah.
And Jesse'd be saying, so-and-so didn't pay the rent.
Yep.
Standing out there with our hand out.
God, by that time rent will be $3,000 a month.
Anyway, this
don't know.
has been a real funny year bird hunting wise.
Yeah.
Dove season was great.
Dove season was. We still got a shitload of dove here.
That's been the end of the greatness. Waterfowl hunting has been hit and miss. We've had some really good days. We had a group not long ago this year, 3 days. They had 3 remarkable hunts. They went home thinking it's the greatest season ever, and they just had to be here the 3 days. It was really good. But it has been a hard year. My guys have worked harder this year than they've ever worked, and I've never seen days that used to be just automatic great hunts. The birds go completely different somewhere. I mean, it just has been a really different year, and then all of a sudden they work really good one day, and you're like, wow, that looks.
That's what
there's usually like a sweet period where you don't. Usually, the past couple years it's been in November, but you just beat the brakes off of them.
For 3 weeks straight.
Yeah, and then you're out of the field by about 9 o'clock, and you do what you got to do here, and mosey in for lunch. And
Did you enjoy that sweet 3 weeks this year?
I'm still waiting on it. Still waiting on it. But this year, like, especially having to shoot that third bird, I bet I don't leave the field most of the time until 11:30, and then you get here a little bit after noon, and you gotta clean your birds.
everything's in a rush.
And if your guys are leaving, you got to hurry up and clean your birds. And then there's a lot of times I don't even walk in for lunch until 1:30.
Oh, yeah.
God forbid we got a podcast to do. It's 2:00 doing that. Do that for an hour, hour and a half. Then it's time to scout. It's just all the time.
You know what, though? The year's gone by fast, though, because of that. Because it's been a nonstop.
Well,
I mean, you went with me this morning. You were at my house this morning early. We went and watched them hunt. We went and watched. We watched them scout. I had to come back over here. The game wardens and ag teachers were doing a seminar for kids today out here. All the 4 area high schools were here at the lodge and the processor, and they done some stuff with deer and stuff with them down there today. And then I ran to town and did some stuff. Come back here. Then I had to run to
check out.
We had to go check out a place where we're going to hunt tomorrow, and that was 25 miles away. So now it is 2:15 in the afternoon. I'm going to scout an hour and 30 minutes. I'm going to go scout, and then we start again tomorrow. But I mean, it's been that kind of day all year long, but it's went by fast. But the hunting's been really tough this year, and it's not just here.
No,
the hunting has been terrible in the Central Flyway this year.
Well, I have as long as I've hunted out here, we always come in November because they're young, dumb, and stupid.
Usually lights out shooting,
right?
Every November.
And this November we had one great hunt, and then the next day,
it's terrible.
3 or 4.
Yeah, it's been that way the whole time.
And I always booked in December because you wanted the Canadas to be here.
And now they don't come hardly.
And then the Canadas just showed up, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
We had some days we killed a lot of Canadas right around Christmas, but it's been a hard year. The crazy thing for me has been I did not realize how much we depend on ducks if I have a day with no wind. There's been so many times in my office over the last couple of years, like, well, we ain't got no wind tomorrow. We got duck hunts. We got a lot of ducks. We'll go shoot ducks. Perfect. Or cranes. Well, the ducks are non-existent. Where are the ducks? Do we have ducks, or has the government been lying to us about how many ducks we have?
They obviously hadn't made it down here. Now, there's a few ducks down. I noticed a few ducks yesterday on the way up.
But there's not anything like there should be. I mean, places that kill a lot of ducks don't have any ducks this year. But where are they?
They got to be north of us.
But where? Are they in Canada? Because the Nolan lives in eastern Colorado, hunts there all the time, from Fort Collins all the way. They don't have no ducks.
Blake doesn't have any ducks.
Blake doesn't have ducks in Nebraska. Lawson, that used to live here, hunts in Montana. They don't have no ducks this year. Caleb, that works for us, is from eastern Washington. He went home at Christmas time and duck and goose hunted and guided on his time off. Went up there, and guess what? They don't have no ducks. I know Roy Carter and them have killed a lot of ducks in southeast Kansas, but they've also had some days that have been pretty tough. I know a couple of the big guys that shoot a lot of field ducks in Oklahoma haven't shot hardly any ducks this year. You know, and there's one guy listening to me. Oh, damn, we're killing the shit out of them every day.
Well, there's always somebody. But how truthful are they?
Well, that's what I was fixing to say. Who knows how? But the overall season for ducks has been terrible everywhere in the central United States.
Well, that lease I got off up in Dublin with John Murray.
Mm-hmm.
They killed opening weekend. He doesn't hunt on Sunday, just on Saturdays. Goes to church on Sunday. John's a good man. Anyway.
We had to throw that in, huh?
Get bathed in the blood.
Well, he is a good friend. He was there when I had all my initial cert. John's a good man.
I'm not disagreeing with that. You choked that. He's a good friend.
I love John to death. Anyway, I give him hell because you're
Steve Barber.
Right. But anyway, he said they killed a limit opening day, but most of it was smiling mallards. But, they shoot like everything else.
That's ducks, baby.
They're duck hunting. They shot a limit of ducks. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing. And they eat just like mallards do. And then they had a spell there where they'd kill 2 or 3. And he hunts every Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And during Thanksgiving and Christmas, he hunts a lot. But it's picked up a little bit the last couple of weeks. And John and I talked.
But it's supposed to. It's January. That's supposed to be the best duck hunting. We're supposed to have ducks everywhere. Andy, you're hunting tomorrow. Where you're hunting at, there's a hooded merganser drake. If you shoot it, I'd like to get it.
Do you see him?
Pressure.
He was sitting right by the dam. I saw him. But if you do shoot,
I'll do that.
If you shoot it tomorrow and the customers don't want it, I would like to have one to get mounted. I've got one in here.
Why?
But I'd like to get one flying just because they're different looking.
Yeah, tell Thunder not to bite it too hard.
Right.
Pick it up in the middle or pick it up by its feet and walk it back.
Daintily bring it back to us.
But if that's something, that's a duck I'd like to have mounted.
I don't know if I've ever shot a hooded merganser.
Well, there you go. You hadn't shot a wood duck till this year either. So
I did shoot a wood duck this year.
Yeah. I got a picture of Thunder bringing that in.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But
the guy that y'all are leasing from,
yeah,
tomorrow told Jeff that they killed a bunch of wood ducks on that little bitty pond.
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you said it's by cypress trees, right?
Well, there's the big pond's got cypress trees, and the little pond that's back in kind of a wooded high grass area, it's real small. He told Jeff that he had killed more ducks there than he had on the big pond, and about 15 teal got off it, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. We're not going yet.
He said they killed a bunch of wood ducks there a couple times this year.
It's 2 miles from where you're at.
Wonder what the wood ducks are doing here, or if that's just where they always go.
They may be there every year. I don't know.
That's over. Y'all don't hunt that part of the. You don't hunt Haskell very much.
Thank goodness farmer called us.
And saw where Rick Perry went to high school.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think he won Haskell County when he ran for governor.
I don't think he did either.
That tells you something.
That sure does.
You got everybody else fooled, but by God, we grew up with you.
Oh, he did a pretty decent job.
Did he?
Damn it, I don't have enough service. Skip just addressed the Joy Taylor situation.
Oh.
He come out in video saying something, so he must be innocent because there's no way if he's doing that his attorney would let him get in and talk about it.
Skip
Bayless, your old buddy from Dallas.
What did he do?
Supposedly he offered $1.5 million to have relations with
a hairstylist. His hairstylist. From that show that he was on.
Oh.
She turned him down.
Skip Bayless has not ever been one of my favorites.
I don't know anybody that likes him.
Well, ask Troy Aikman about it.
Called him gay, didn't he?
Yeah.
Said he was a homosexual.
I think Dion almost whooped his ass over it.
Well.
I think him and I think it was like a panel, and Dion basically brought it up and was like, "I want to hear you say it. Let's hash this out right now, and you can say it to my face, and we can just see where this goes." And Skip kind of backpedaled.
Have you seen Dion lately? He's got a white beard.
He's getting old.
That's right.
8 toes.
He was a great football player.
Let me tell
Great
you-
football player, but he's not a great coach.
Let me tell you about Dion. We lived in Arlington and went to Ponder, Texas.
Or his house is.
Yeah, to eat at a steakhouse. There were 6 or 8 of us. And we pull into this gas station in Ponder, and I walk in and bought gas. I turn around and look, and I said, "What are those goalposts doing out here in the middle of nowhere?" And it had a dike all the way, not a dike, but a mound all the way around it. You can see about this top.
Yeah.
He said, "That's where Dion lives. He's got a football field in his backyard."
I used to have a friend of mine live 2 blocks from him.
Yeah.
Had him a whole estate there.
Yeah, and they said he was a good guy. He came to that gas station all the time.
He seems like a good guy.
That's before he and his wife got crossways and divorced each other. But
he seems like a good guy, and he seems like he cares about his players. I think
you're right there.
I think he genuinely wants to see all of his players succeed later on in life.
Right.
And it could be all just media and smoke and mirrors. I mean, I've never met the guy. I've never had any conversation with him. But from the way his interviews sound, it sounds like he is trying to prepare these young men.
He's way out of bounds on some things, though. And
yeah.
this stuff today with Antonio Pierce, he's way out of bounds on that.
What did he do?
Antonio Pierce got fired from the Raiders today.
Oh, okay.
So he was the 6th coach now that there's 6 openings, I think. And Mike McCarthy got turned down for they
Bears
turned
interview.
down the Bears interview. So I'm assuming Jerry's fixing to give him a new contract, probably.
Right.
Skip just said they're going to give him a 3-year, $27 million contract, which is, as a Cowboy hater, I hope they do. But but Dion says, well, I don't know now that if I want, we're going to pull an Eli Manning. We're just not going to go to any team. We're going to go to select few teams. You ain't got no choice in that. If the Raiders draft Shador number 1, which I think is a big reach, I don't think there's a quarterback in the draft right now that's first-round pick. But if they take Shador Sanders and he don't want to sign with them, make him sit a freaking year then. That's what I do. You either sign with me or you sit somewhere because I don't think there's a big bunch. When Eli Manning came out, there was 2 or 3 teams needing quarterbacks.
Yep.
But Eli Manning and Ryan Lee or Phillip Rivers were they both played in the NFL for a long time.
Yep.
I don't think Shador Sanders has got a lot of I don't think there's very many teams want Shador Sanders. There's a very small list of teams that need a quarterback.
Yep.
But I'm not sure. I even saw where one guy come out and said he's a 3rd-round grade. So
He wanted him to play for Antonio Pierce.
I guess he wanted him to go to the Raiders and do that. But now, are they going to offer Dion the job and the 1st-round pick where they could offer Dion and he could get Shador there?
I got a black buddy that I work out with at the
You don't
farm.
have to be racist.
I'm not being
You have a
racist.
friend.
I have a friend that happens to be black.
There you go.
Guy named James, good guy, big guy, played football.
Well spoken too, huh?
He went to school at Colorado and played football for him. And we always fist bump when we see each other.
Yeah.
And I say, "What's up, bro?" And he'll say, "You got it, dude." But anyway,
Not much you jive, turkey.
anyway, he told me 2 or 3 weeks ago. He said, "I hope we get to keep him one more year."
Hope we get to keep you one more year?
No. At
Dion.
One more year at Colorado.
I don't know why anybody that's good at coaching college football, and Dion has not been a great coach, but he's turned Colorado's program around from what it was to something where they get a lot of attention, and he's making good money there.
Well,
I don't know why anybody would want to go to the NFL to coach. Like Sarkisian, they're like, well, you know, his name's coming up. Why would you leave Texas to go coach pro football? You coach pro football. How many guys got fired after 1 year this year?
Well,
I mean, first of all, the guy New England, they fired Gerard Mayo.
Yeah, that is first or second?
First year. What makes you think he's going to win any more games than Belichick was doing anyways? And then the Raiders 1 year, they fired him. Year and a half. He got a year and a half there?
well, they got no.
He was their interim coach last year. They brought him back.
Give him a job for a couple of years. He had Aiden O'Connell quarterbacking and Jimmy Garoppolo. They don't have, or is Garoppolo with the Rams?
No.
Where's Garoppolo? Yeah, he is with the Rams. He's a backup there.
Okay.
But you give these guys these jobs. Well, there's a reason you hired a new coach. The guy before sucked or wasn't very good. So don't expect the guy in 1 year to turn it around. It don't happen.
Well, the NIL helped a lot of the college players. Trust me.
Oh no, that did.
And that helped Dion.
But you look at the NIL deal. I saw a thing today that the kid at Michigan, the quarterback, the 5-star quarterback that everybody was fighting over, whoever it was, $12 million NIL deal.
Ooh.
Brees Hall has got a 3-year, $9 million a year deal with the New York Jets. What's the big risk to going to play pro football right now? There's not.
But that'll help college football, won't it? You're getting kids to play longer.
They're but you're ruining college football with this NIL shit. Quinn Ewers is better off going to Ohio State or Oregon to be their quarterback next year than he is to be drafted in the 3rd round by Philadelphia or whoever the fuck drafts him in the 3rd round, because he's going to be Sam Ehlinger. Was a good college quarterback at Texas.
Yep.
He's a backup or 3rd string at Indianapolis now, if he's a practice squad guy. Well, Sam Ehlinger, if they would have had an NIL deal when he was at Texas, he would have made $10 million his 3 or 4 years there and set for life. So I think the NIL deal is good for kids for that deal. Not the kid that's a superstar, but the kid that's a good college football player.
Right.
That's never going to get a chance to play pro football or do much. And a quarterback is such a tough deal. I don't think there's a guy quarterbacking in college right now that's coming into the draft that's going to be a difference maker in the NFL. I don't think none of them are that good.
This NIL stuff has sucked everybody into watching college sports, and
it's mega teams, super teams.
Oh yeah, it's just incredible the money that they're throwing around.
I'm watching Rodgers documentary on Netflix. Old boy's out there.
Who?
Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, I watched. I've never been a fan. He's a great quarterback, but I watched him the other day. I was killing time Sunday, and I flipped over. I saw the Cowboys were the NFL game of the week, and I saw the last quarter of it, and they lost another one. Whatever, but I saw the tail end of Rodgers. He can still play.
He had a good second half of the year.
Yeah,
that's an injury and that's the same with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but they bench Kirk Cousins.
Well, I understand that, but I think Kirk Cousins will get another chance somewhere else.
Oh, I do too.
The Giants would have been better off with Kirk Cousins being quarterback than whatever they had out there.
Let's talk about hunting to get off football.
Well, we talk about everything. I was going to ask you about while we're on football. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Andy and me and you were talking about that, and me and Andy were talking about it. I think it's going to. If I had to bet, I'd say Baltimore. I think it's their year, like he thinks.
What about your college picks?
I don't think Texas can beat Ohio State.
I don't either.
They play tomorrow?
Yep.
Friday night.
Friday night. Yeah. No, they play Saturday.
Penn State's a lot better than you think they are. Notre Dame's a lot better than you think.
I think Notre Dame beats Penn State.
And it probably. I hope Ohio State loses to Texas. But if they make it to the next round,
you're taking Ohio State.
No, I'd pick them, but I don't want them to win. I don't like the program.
I hope Texas wins. I hope Notre Dame wins second. I hope Penn State wins third, and I hope Ohio State don't show up.
Okay, but who do you think wins?
Ohio State. I've said that 3 weeks ago. I think Ohio State, if they get in, they've got the best roster. They should have beat Oregon at that game. They got beat by Oregon the first game. I I think their coach is a really good coach, and I feel sorry for him because he's been fighting for his life every year there because he keeps getting beat by Michigan. And if he wins the national championship and gets beat by Michigan again next year, they're going to want to fire him again.
Yeah, well, the quarterback there came from Kansas State, and I saw a deal the other day, and he said, I lost to Texas 4 years in Kansas. And he said, this is my time. I hope I can beat the University of Texas. And they probably will.
They've got both teams are very talented. They got the two most talented rosters that are playing still.
Yeah.
But Texas has been so terrible on offense.
Well, they've been.
You got to go with Arch. You got to go with Arch.
Talent-wise, Texas has a talented roster as Ohio State does.
Yeah.
And, they play the first game of the year next year.
Yeah, I know it.
That ought to be a hell of a draw because they're both going to be a top. If Archie Manning comes back and he's Texas' starting quarterback
coming
next year, and he should be, Texas will be ranked preseason number 1 or 2, and Ohio State will be right behind. I mean, it's going to be 1 versus 2 maybe.
University of Texas has told Ewers,
sorry,
don't come back. We're going with Arch, and he'll probably pay 2 years.
Steve's got all the inside information too. Steve's well connected. I mean, the Charlie Wilson War guy. You knew him, didn't you? Mm-hmm. You dated
my daddy knew him real well.
You went to prom with a girl that's a Hollywood actress.
Oh, shit.
What was the Charlie Wilson's War guy? I know the movie, but I don't. What did he do?
Ron Contra deal.
Yep.
He was the senator from Lufkin, Texas. Charlie Wilson, and he was very well connected, and he was right in the middle of that deal.
Well, he was like an ambassador over there?
No, he just was in on all that.
He put all that stuff together behind the scenes, and when my niece got married in Austin, she married a guy from Westlake.
You married or buried?
Married.
Okay, I thought you said buried.
Charlie Wilson was at the reception, and my daddy and him met eyes, and they recognized each other. I don't know where he had the connection. He was in the savings and loan business, and he and Charlie, he may have gone to school at Lawnmarsh College in Jacksonville when they both were that age. But there was a book written about Charlie Wilson. I don't remember the name of it. It may have been
Charlie Wilson's War.
Is that what it was?
I think that's what the movie's called. The movie's called
Okay.
that. I think it's an offshoot of that.
Yeah, it may be a Ron Contra deal. I don't remember, but I remember that was back in the early 80s.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Ronald Reagan and Ollie North.
Yeah.
Last president to grant amnesty to all the illegal immigrants. Mr. Ronald Reagan.
I know.
Your guy.
If you're trying to get us all worked up, you're not going to.
He'll get me.
He called me and said, you need to go watch the
You just need to go.
autobiography on Ronald Reagan.
You just need to go see it because it's just exactly what's happening today.
He's part of the problem. He's the reason that California's blue and will never go red again.
Who?
Ronald Reagan.
No, it'll go red.
Didn't Arnold Schwarzenegger win governor there twice as red?
We all know how that turned out. So
Well, I'm
settle
just
down.
saying that.
No, it hadn't gone in a presidential primary. Even when Schwarzenegger was governor, it's because of Reagan. Y'all's two guys, Mr. Jelly.
My two guys,
You're two.
I never even got to vote for Ronald Reagan. I was too young.
Yeah, but you're always on his bandwagon, Mr. Jellybean himself.
Mr. Jellybean.
Ronald Reagan was a good president.
He was.
And I think he was one of the last ones we had that could remember being a poor kid because he grew up poor.
Yeah.
Well, he's the reason that everything went over to China, too.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Really is a good movie.
Did it show the amnesty and the shipping everything overseas to China? No, they're not going to show that part.
No.
I didn't think so.
We'll show that.
I didn't think so.
If you were president, Andy, what would be the first thing you would do? Realistically, they make you president of the United States. And there's not a yes or no, wrong or right answer. I'm just asking you, what's the first thing you would do?
I would declassify everything.
Okay, that's what you
From
would do.
1776 on, everything
You would make everything an open book.
Everything would go on the internet.
Okay.
You want to know the secrets that we're holding? Here you go. That would be minute one.
I agree with that. And
the second thing I would do is I would put, like what we talked about on podcast not too long ago, every check that is written and every check that is received is going on the internet for you to see where your money is coming and going.
Right.
Those are the first two things I would do.
And get rid of the illegal people in this country.
I thought you were a Reagan guy.
Well, that's.
Oh, we're picking and choosing now.
This is what I get all the time, so I'm good luck to you on this.
Is this podcast over?
No. So what would you do if you were president?
I'd get rid of the illegals. If they're in here illegally, they need to go home.
So that's the first thing you'd do.
Yep. And then I'd.
So you're
then
bucking the Reagan system.
And then I'd secure the border. And then I would declassify everything just like he said.
It's interesting.
What would you do, Mr. Prez, Governor?
I think the very first thing I would do.
Have sex in the Oval Office.
Monica Lewinsky's getting a little old. So. No, the first thing I would do is probably shut the border down the first minute until we could get it stabilized and figure out what we're doing on it. Yeah. I'm not talking 1 month. I'm talking about let's go 10 days and shut her down and get our ducks in a row.
That's what I said. Immigrants in the border.
One of the other things that I would do right off the bat is I would. I'm trying to think how I could word this.
Must be racist.
No. I would find a way to make my Congress, Senate, and everyone put term limits up to vote for the American people.
Oh yeah,
not to Congress and not to Senate, where we put it on an election, a referendum or an election in our country.
Let the people decide.
Let the people decide. We're a true democracy. How often do you? And I would give them a couple of choices: no term limits, 4 terms. 2 terms, and we're going to vote on it, and whatever, that's what we're going to do. And that's what I do. No politician's going to do that because they don't want to lose their jobs. And it shouldn't be one of these things that you're grandfathered in, because we got enough grandfathers and grandmas up there and great-grandfather and grandmothers.
Pelosi's on a walker.
Yeah, I would. That's one thing I would do. I would let the American people vote on it, and we would do it. This is January. We'd have a national election in May, and it would be, we're going to vote on term limits, and this is what we're going to do, and I would push that real big. Because I think that would fix a lot of our problems.
Sure. Hey, you've been investing a long time. Have you ever had a year investing where you lost money? Not God. Lost money, because I know like Buffett says, I didn't sell anything, so I didn't lose anything. But
where your value goes
where
down.
You were in the red.
Oh yeah,
but, really?
Well, not really. I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, you get used to 12 or 13% or whatever, and then
it might be 4 or 5.
It may be 4 or 5. You're not making as much money. I got in a big argument one day with a guy I went to high school with, and he's a big dim, was a judge, and we got talking about investments. And he said, I made more money when Barack Obama was president than Donald Trump was. And I said,
there's a lot of people who have made a lot more money with Joe Biden president too. I have. Yeah. The wealthy people have really done well. So there's Andy.
Not the wealthy people, just the investments have done well.
Have you seen what
the stock market has?
Have you seen what our nice congressman, the pirate Dan Dickhead Crenshaw, done? He done 71% last year because it was a list of people today, and boy, the people were on his ass. One of the congressmen had 148% return on his money.
We're
this
getting
year.
14. We're happy with 15.
That's a good year.
No, that's what I'm saying. Could you imagine 140 or 70 or whatever you just said?
Yeah, there was a list of them, but Dan Crenshaw was one of them.
So so now that you're thinking about it, there's never been a year where you were negative 3% or whatever.
I know a lot of people that have bailed when it started doing this.
Yeah.
My daughter in New York did it. She took everything out and put it in cash. And
you got to let it ride.
You just got to let it ride.
Did you invest in Enron?
No.
You were not an Enron investor? Mm-mm. You know, they're the reason that companies don't get employees don't get stock options anymore.
Yep, I know that.
Because our good friend Ryan that works for McDonald's, he said, better paying job than his dad. His dad will make more wealth than him tenfold. Like, it's not even because he got stock options. And he got stock options when McDonald's was whatever back in the 70s and 80s, and then it split.
Yep.
And it's not an option anymore for us young cats.
Here it is, Nancy Pelosi. How much money do you think she's worth?
Probably $75 million.
She was worth $231 million in 2023 at the end of the year. Now she's worth $273. So she made $42 million last year off of her investments.
Maybe book sale. Maybe she wrote a book.
Much
and we don't know about it.
No, this is just her stock portfolio. Much of this success can be attributed to her well-timed bets on the semiconductor giant Nvidia, and her original Palo Alto network purchase spent much of the year in the red, though she did with the second buying of Panwall correctly gauge the late February downtrend is but a setback.
Hey, did Kamala get a book deal for $20 million?
I have no idea. Who
I
the fuck wants to read that shit?
Well, I had heard, we were talking about in the blind today, that she $1.5 billion campaign and $100 billion spent on 100 days. She was in the hole $20 million, and somehow she got a book deal for that certain amount. But I didn't hear anything about it. But I don't know. Back to more pleasant topics. I'm gonna get a puppy here soon. Don't know where from. So shout out if you got a good looking dog. That,
Boy, you have done screwed up now.
That you think needs to be in West Texas.
You're going to regret this. Every sucker that's got a dog out there that's traded it,
let me give you some advice.
Oh,
When Raven had her second set of puppies, 10 puppies, me and Ron, at Ron's advice, I did what Ron told me, and it didn't. He was a puppy mill.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to stuff his pockets full of selling puppies. I talked to another vet in Brownwood, and she said, go to AKC and advertise that you want a good puppy, 7 to 8 weeks old. First thing you want to look at is bloodline. Well, I advertised Raven's second litter, and I had 2 spoken for before I put it on AKC. Bam.
really?
They were gone in 10 days.
So just go to the website. It's that easy.
Sight unseen.
Oh.
And then, of course, we sent pictures, and
Right.
they wanted to see the bloodline.
Because I'm thinking about February 20th, because I know we go to Mexico first part of February, then we got the Turkey Convention 13th, 14th, 15th, something like that. So it's going to have to be after that.
My best suggestion is go to these, like Danny Farmer's Denwood kennels.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Triple D or Triple K up in Decatur. It's a big time trainer. Talked to what was Ron's buddy from, we were talking about him yesterday, from Wichita Falls that he helped train.
Yeah, him. I know who you're talking about.
What's his name, Jeff?
Who?
Ron's buddy that you called him. We were talking about that brought the gal, the fishing guide up here.
Gary Coker.
Coker. Talk to him about his trainer that he used to train that dog. And then there's a real good one in Brownwood. There's one in Anderson. That's Danny Farmer, the guy in Decatur, and there's 2 or 3 in Bryan's College Station. And what they do is they have a litter, they publish the litter, they sell pups, and a lot of people that buy those bloodline dogs want them trained, and they get so far into the training, let's say they had a litter of 6, and they get in 3 or 4 months, and the owner calls and says, don't want any more, wife doesn't want to spend any more money, or I can't afford it, or whatever, sell it and get me my money back. Well, they'll take that dog to 6 months of training, and it knows everything with the exception of whistle and hand signal.
See, but I don't want that. I want a puppy.
Okay.
Kids need a puppy.
Okay. Well,
It's going to be their only puppy.
okay. Still go to those trainers.
Yeah. That's a lot of talking, Steve. I just kind of want this puppy to magically appear.
Oh, okay.
Because here's how I got Lou. I walked outside. Ron said, hey, I'm going to have a litter. I'm going to give you pick of the litter.
Okay.
And I picked him, and that's how I got Lou.
I think if you
Easy.
walk out that door right now, that ain't gonna be there. So
Well, if you do that, Andy, if you go see a litter, most of them aren't going to let them go to 7 weeks. So,
They're not going to. I know.
Yeah,
That's why I'm saying February 20th.
well, you just need to put something on the internet, and you'll probably be covered up.
dude, that's what's gonna happen to you. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there that listens to this podcast that has a good dog that bred to the neighbor's dog or whatever it is. Ooh, he'd
Well,
like
I'm
to
gonna
have
have
a
to
dog.
look. I'm gonna have to look at bloodlines.
That's the most important.
But
thing.
Because I've kind of talked myself. I debated. Do I want to go? I want to go British. I want to go back to American. I really like the way that Lou looked.
You want a
Because of
big, bulky dog
because of
that's
how big
athlete,
he was.
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I want that. And one of our friends, he's the air conditioner guy in Seymour, Nick Wiles. He's got a dog that is just a fucking stud. But
That is a good looking dog.
he had a litter a year ago and doesn't have anything. Like, for it to be ready to be picked up February 20th, like, it's got to be hitting the ground here pretty quick.
Like now.
Yeah, like right now.
So I want to tell you a funny story about Steven and puppies. So Steve here has got a litter of dogs. Do you remember this?
Going on a trip.
And so Steve has got a guy that he did business with or knew that was here that Steve was not a big fan of. And the guy was a very nice man. Well, Steve didn't like him. We'll just call him Bob for short because I'm not going to mention his real name. So anyways, Steve calls me and he goes, what are you doing? And I told him about the group. It was up here. Some guys did the same business he did. And Steve's like, is Bob up there? Yeah. Well, you know, he come over and looked at a puppy of mine the other day and I ain't heard from that son bitch yet. Want to know about it. I said, No, you didn't either. You didn't tell me that. You told me that he would come to look at a puppy a couple of days earlier. So then when he was up here, Steve calls me and says, "Hey, how's old Bob doing up there? Had their hunt go day? Had a good hunt today." I said, "Man, Bob's got the best looking puppy I've ever seen in my life." And Steve goes, "Huh?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "He's got an 8-week-old puppy up here that just retrieves like crazy. It's the best looking little puppy I've ever seen in my life." Boy, I'm fucking reeling fucking Steve in. And Steve goes, well, hold on. He's got an 8-week-old puppy up there. I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's just a cute little black puppy." "So Bob's got an 8-week-old puppy up there." I said, "Yeah." "Well, he can kiss my ass. You can tell him just kiss my ass." I go, "What are you talking about?" "Well, fuck him." I go, "Steve, what are you talking about?" "Screw that son of a bitch. I guess my puppies ain't good enough for him to buy." I go, "What are you talking about?" "Well, he came up to look at a puppy of mine the other day and he didn't buy the damn thing. So I guess he went somewhere else and got one." I go, "I don't know. He's just got a good looking puppy." I said, "I can ask him if he just bought it." "No, fuck him. I don't really care anyways." That poor sucker didn't even buy a dog. Steve was all worked up.
Yeah, he did reel me in.
Big time. That kind of like when you when Raven, your dog before Thunder was here, and we all told you she was fat.
Oh man,
What Stevie get mad? "Oh, damn, Steve, is she pregnant?" "Fuck y'all, that dog's not pregnant. She's not even fat." He gets so mad.
she was British.
Was she?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I know she's small.
Yeah,
I think Hank was also probably British.
No,
Hank was short and stocky.
yeah, but he wasn't a British dog.
She didn't weigh but 52 pounds when she was hunting weight. She never weighed more than 52 pounds. Had real short legs.
Mm-hmm.
She weighed more than 52 that time she's up here and we talked to you about fat. She's at least 60.
She looked like a Tootsie Roll.
Yeah, she's pretty fat.
I'm going to miss the old man training this new one, though. Just
yeah.
if there's any issues.
You don't have anybody to talk to.
I want to call him all the time. Every time one of my dogs is sick or something.
I think I remember enough, but I'm sure something will come up in training and be like, "What the fuck do I do now?" Because just like you with the pigeons, like, "Oh, he's not birdie. What are we going to do to fix this?"
Sure.
Get pigeons.
I've got to call poor Eric Montoya, a vet friend of mine, every time I've got a dog problem. I'll text him at home 10 o'clock at night. "Hey, this is going." But those are the things I used to ask Dad. Like, Amos had diarrhea one night, and I called Dad and asked, Michelle's like, "What do you do?" I said, I think we can give him Pepto-Bismol, but I said, let me text Eric, or I can call Dr. Lee and ask him too and get some. But I miss my dad because Dad was that guy I would call and ask him about that, or give him some rice or whatever.
Rice and chicken.
That's what I do anytime Lou had a tummy ache.
Yeah.
Rice and chicken. Then you just throw up rice and chicken all over the fucking house.
But it stopped.
Yeah,
you could
after
have
a while.
probably fed him beef stroganoff and he'd thrown it up too.
Are you going to get one puppy or two?
One.
Just one. The boys know they're just getting one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're good with that.
Are they going to fight over who he sleeps with? Or will
That's
Reese
going to be an
win?
issue. No, because like we've already kind of conditioned Reese. Like you got to sleep with Lou he slept with Reese's
4
10.
or 5 years?
Reese is 10. Lou started sleeping with him. I bet he slept with Reese for 6 years.
Yeah. He was young because he was that
He was getting nightmares.
Munster away or whatever that spray.
Yeah, the monster spray. So
And for everybody that don't know, Andy and them gave him Renews-It. And
Febreze.
And he could spray it in the room at nighttime and it'd make the ghosts go away or the monsters.
Yep.
Okay.
His room smelled impeccable. never a foul odor in that room. So that quit working. So we were like, well, what if Lou sleeps with you? Because, you got to go to bed, kid. We're over it. We love you, but you got to go. So started sleeping with Lou. But now Jameson's kind of that same age. It's kind of only fair. You had your shot in the sun. So we'll see how it goes.
And Thunder's been there for 70 days. Sleeping with
Reese.
He sleeps with Reese in the bed? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Does he sleep with y'all in the bed, too?
No.
He's going to now.
No.
He's going to now.
Where does he sleep?
He's got a nice. He stays in the house most of the day.
Yeah.
He's got a bed on the patio, and he's got a bed out in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves sleeping in the garage because it's cool.
He doesn't love sleeping in the garage as much as he loves sleeping in the bed.
Well, I know that.
Ollie's got 2 beds, and I had one bed that he'd sleep in the floor overnight. And Ollie's never tries to get in the bed. He sleeps on his bed. You tell him to go to his bed, and he'll go to his bed. Like he'll walk from the living room into our bedroom and go to bed. But we had a second bed that I had brought out here or something, and I took it to the house for some reason, and I stuck it on top of that bed. So now it's double. Oh, he loves that sucker now.
Yeah.
It's more comfortable for him. Poor Amos got shaved, and he went from looking like a derelict homeless person's dog to he got completely shaved all the way because he had freaking Jamaican, whatever you call them.
Dreadlocks.
It was terrible. His old hair was matted, so he's down to Well, it's cold right now.
Right.
That sucker tried to crawl under the covers last night in the bed. He was cold. He slept right up next to me, almost shivering. I felt bad for him. I put a Filson blanket on top of him for a little bit. And boy, he can generate some freaking heat when you put a blanket on top of him.
Thunder would sleep in the bed.
Well, he's going to now.
You ought to let him.
He's
I don't
old,
think he
Steve.
moves much.
No, but Kathy's got 2 little Shih Tzus that sleep at the end of the bed.
So the little shit dogs get in and not him.
Preferential treatment.
That's kind of a bull crap. What do they do to make your life easier?
yeah,
Shih Tzus?
they ain't picking
Hey.
shit up.
As my wife has always told me, the house is my domain.
Oh, well, you can't really fault her for that. I don't want that job.
I don't either.
So her Shih Tzus take priority over your dog.
Yeah, but one of them, they're 8, 9 years old.
Oh, them fuckers will live to be 20.
Oh, shit.
My buddy Dirk at Boss, his dog's 19 years old.
I don't know if it's
He's got
Shih
a
Tzu.
little, he's got a little dog though, a little shit dog of some sort. I don't know what kind it is, a little miniature something or another.
Are you going to get another dog when Thunder eventually passes on?
We had this conversation
We had
today.
this conversation today. I'll be 75 in May. I don't want a puppy.
Right. You can get a starter dog. 8-9 months.
I could get a starter dog, but if let's say Thunder lives 3 more years,
Yeah.
I'll be 78. I don't think so.
Nothing
know.
at all? Not even like a 3 year, maybe like a Finnish dog.
I don't know.
He will. He'd get he's too wormy. He done told me he don't know how to be still at the house. Kathy'd rather you have a dog and somebody to jack with besides her.
True.
She's pretty tough.
Well, she'd be like Steven. You need a hobby. You need a dog. Since you don't play golf no more, hardly, do you?
Well, when I get my arm fixed, I'll play.
You start playing again?
Yeah.
You living down there in the big city now with all the fancy. Have you met a lot of Aggies down there you're friends
Oh,
with now?
my God. There's Aggies everywhere. Everywhere.
Now, Magnolia, was there any good goose hunting around there a long time ago? No?
No.
Was it always developed?
No.
Is there any duck hunting down there? Because you never hear about duck hunting in that way either.
I talked to a guy the other day. There's a guy down there that's got a 3,000-acre ranch that I sold a dog to 13 years ago out of Raven's first litter.
Mm-hmm.
And still alive.
Really?
A chocolate. And he bred his dog, the male, to another dog, and he got a pup out of it. And I said, can you breed her again? And he said, no, my wife had me clip her.
Cliffle?
But he's got a 3,000-acre ranch there in the pecan business. It's got a 200-acre lake on it. Good fishing. And he said the duck hunting this year's been awful.
Yeah.
And they own a bunch of property in Louisiana, southern Louisiana, and he's on the retail side. Used to be in the production side on the pecans. He said that there's a little bit of duck hunting down at Garwood and Eagle Lake, and he said that's where the ranch is. And I'm gonna go down and look. I want to fish down there and see what kind of. I'd like to catch a bunch of bluegill.
Mm-hmm.
And he said duck hunting's been awful, and he said it hadn't been very good in
what do you want a bunch of
Louisiana this
bluegill
year.
for?
You don't get to eat.
They are good to eat. You don't hear about nobody people going after. They're fun to catch too.
Well, if you look on the internet, there's all kind of people that take you on bluegill trips.
There's 2 guys on Lake Kissimmee that I follow on Instagram, and they catch bluegill all the time. They've got the older guys. They have an Instagram channel.
We
and
used to catch them
tons of them
when we were kids on fly rods.
Oh, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of
Little
fun.
popping corks, boy, those are a blast. Or not
Lot of
popping
fun.
corks, so popping lures.
Little flies.
Oh yeah, that's fun as could be.
But
See, kids today don't do shit like that hardly.
they do this.
Don't have to.
Yeah, that's a lot more fun on the pop and cork on a fly
Well,
rod
sure
than
it
being
is.
on a computer.
I had an old friend that's now he's still alive. He's got Alzheimer's, and he said when my grandkids come over, he said they come in and kiss me on the cheek and say hi, Grandpa. And he said they all go to different rooms. And he said when I was a kid, I had a baseball, basketball, and football. I always had something to play with,
Mm-hmm.
and I was always outside.
You know what Dad used to say, didn't you? When he was little, for Christmas every year, he'd get some overalls and I'd cut the pockets out of them. We had something to wear and something to play with.
Block pocket pool.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically what this guy was saying. I didn't want to say that and tarnish my image.
Yeah. Right.
We
But-
can do that if you want to.
No, I know that. But anyway,
The old days when things were simpler, life was a whole lot better, I thought.
yeah, I agree.
Me and Andy disagree and argue about this all the time, but I think the overall life in America was a whole lot better, the quality of life back then than it is today.
I'll never forget when y'all were hunting in Oklahoma. Y'all were already up there, and it was hunting with that first guy where he had that nice lodge or whatever, and you were hunting in a different part.
Oh, the guy was a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Anyway, Andy was up there, and I don't know who was with me. There was a couple of guys with me in my truck, and we got there, and I said, I got on this road, and I called Andy, and I said, where are you? And he said, I sent you a pen. And I said, hey, I've got a pen. What are you talking about? I had no idea what he was talking about.
Do you know how to do that now?
No.
The pen?
I don't know how to set a pen. If somebody sends me a pen, all you do is tap on it.
That's all you got to do. That's what I told you then, 10 years ago.
Well, I figured it out. It took me 10 years to figure it out.
You know, I find sometimes there are older guys that I deal with in business, and I'll be like, do you text? And every once in a while I'll be like, well, fuck yeah, you think I'm stupid? And then you meet some guys that don't text still.
It's funny with the new guys. The one thing that I've noticed, and this is not a curmudgeon talking or anything about the youth of today, the young guys we have are petrified about talking to the clients.
They don't talk
hate
to
it.
Them. They don't talk to them.
Like Jeff's like, all right, go out and talk to your guys. They will put it off. Watch tonight. It'll be interesting. This will be a little experiment because we got new groups coming in.
I've never realized that before.
We got new groups coming in. Just watch tonight. Jeff will be like, all right, go talk to your guys. That's the first thing I do. I walk out, hand them the paperwork, tell them everything because I want to get on with my day. You know, my kids are usually out here, and a lot of times that's the first time I've seen them. So I want to get that done.
So you can spend time with
So I
them.
can spend time with my family, and that's just, I'm done for the night, basically.
Right.
Watch these young guys tonight.
I did not know that, so they're not as comfortable then.
Fuck, no. Mm-mm.
Well, they didn't.
Or like giving, like telling them kind of how to do things. They're just, you can just tell these young guys, they're not all that comfortable with it.
See,
Well,
that's my favorite part of the night.
They've grown up.
I love visiting.
They've grown up with screens.
Yeah, and they're both and they're good, hardworking kids. They are, and it's a social. The socialize is completely different than what it used to be. But I enjoy the visiting. That's my favorite part of the night is when I walk the room and work the room and talk. So I try to talk to every table. Unless we're just busy and I got stuff going on, I go out every night and I visit with people because I love that part. But kids, we talked about this today earlier. These kids today, it's going to be a whole different world 30 years from now when we're expecting them to talk and to change. I don't know to change, but to be out of their comfort zone and visit. Steve was talking about when he goes on vacation, his grandkids wears them out because he talks to everybody.
Yeah, I hate that too.
See, I like that. I like talking to
You don't
visiting
like talking
people.
to people? I want to know.
Not strangers.
I want to know why not? If you want to sit down and.
What if they're dirty? What if they're Democrats?
Well,
Who
it doesn't
cares?
matter.
I love talking to different people.
We were in New York City. Been there.
Oh, that's the worst.
Well, no, been there 50 times.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Kathy, not 50, probably 25 because Randy lived up there. We went to Bubba Gump's to eat dinner one night. And this guy walks up to the waiter, and he's got a Texas Tech hat on. And I look up and I said, in the hell are you doing with a Texas Tech hat? He said, I'm Wichita Falls.
Oh, really?
I said, really?
Well, something like that I would talk to him, but I'm not just going to talk to a bum on the street and be like, hey, where'd you go wrong in your life?
I see tech crap everywhere we go. We're in Detroit at the airport. First thing I get off the airport, a guy was wearing a tech hat. And I told Michelle, I said, I don't know if I noticed it as much now as I used to, but I've been in Manhattan before and seen a guy with a tech T-shirt on and asked him what was going on. I mean,
walked in down there today when they were skinning the deer,
Uh-huh.
and Lexi was standing there jumping around, and that I don't know if it was the ag teacher or who it was that kept. She was trying to take pictures, and she said, and she'd duck about that far, still blocking her.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to looking at the kids. And the first kid I looked on that's the first thing I saw was a TT.
We're in West Texas. So
Well,
it's
I
pretty
understand
common.
that.
Rate of
but-
power.
Guns
Now-
up.
Guns up.
I'm going to ask you about New York City. Your daughter is married to a very famous man, correct? Yes.
Whatever. Yeah.
Well, he is though, and he seems to be a good guy.
Right.
When y'all go to New York, do you get to go on these high dollar, fancy ass
Peter Luger?
limousine type deals and go to these fancy?
Went to Peter Luger. Good.
I've always wanted to go there. I've never been there. It's one of
It's
my
a good
places.
place to eat.
Parkwood Deli's number one, and Peter Luger's is two right now on
Yeah.
my list.
Peter Luger's is good, and been to a couple of really good.
But do you get the royal treatment? I'm saying when you go there with all that money.
Paparazzi following you.
He knows those people up there because he grew up in the city.
Yeah, but he's a famous movie producer,
Well, no, he don't like the limelight.
so he doesn't enjoy that. It's a job to him then,
He's not on Facebook. Randy's not on Facebook.
right?
You can pull him up on the internet and find out anything you want to know about him.
But he does not
He doesn't post anything. He doesn't even have a Facebook page.
So y'all go to nice places, but it's low key when he's there.
Right.
Okay, that's not.
But he knows most of those people because he grew up in Long Island and he was a waiter
before he made it big.
Before he wanted to be an actor, and somebody told him when he first got started, he said, "Why don't you get into production? That way you don't get bounced around and you get disappointed because you don't get this."
That's a nice way of saying you ain't gonna get that part. You need to find something else to do.
Everybody wants to be an actress or an actress.
Yeah.
And he knows people. Like if you want to go to the Empire State Building, want to go up on top.
Been to New York 4 times in the last year, and Steve never one time said, "Jeff, if you
want to go to the top,
yeah, I can take care of you." But no, not once, Steve.
Well, you got to ask.
Well,
I don't want to impose.
Steve, I don't want to be a Democrat to you that way, but I'd have thought of be as good a friend as we are. You're
going to New York. Let me call.
You're
call
my fake
son-in-law.
Uncle Steve. I got a real Uncle Steve, so it's my fake Uncle Steve. And you never even offered this to me. Well, you dickhead. Well, I do everything. Let you ride around with me and visit with me all morning and talk my ear off. And you didn't even. So, anyways, when you go to New York, though, have you been to? You got to go to some really cool places, I bet. Then.
Well, he knows a lot of cool places.
Yeah.
But they're hey.
It's a different life.
My daughter grew up in East Texas, and she was raised conservative, and she is.
You're gonna get in trouble here.
No, she doesn't have a whole lot of. I'd asked her the other day. I got 2 grandkids that ride the subway. One's 13, one's 16.
By themselves?
By themselves, and they go to school. When you're in high school in New York City, you got to bid for the high school you want to go to, and you got to be selected from a resume.
So they're
not
one of the same schools the inner city kids are going to.
No,
okay,
no, but it's public school, and Cosmo is 13.
Cosmo.
That's
a cool name. Oh, Kramer.
Anyway, and
I might be changing my dog's name.
Amelia.
Is that what you're going to name him?
No, Cosmo. I like it.
Amelia is 16 and she's in high school. And I asked her when she was here this summer, I said, "Do you like riding the subway?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, what do you do?" And she said, "I get in the corner, open my laptop or my iPad or whatever." And she said, "I don't pay any attention to anybody because I don't want to draw any attention." And then Cosmo gets on it because his buddies do. A bunch of 13-year-olds, they're rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
And he rides it 20 minutes this way and 20 minutes that way. And I asked her yesterday because you see all this stuff on the news. And
lady got caught on fire on the subway.
Yeah, and she said, "Dad, I ride it every day. Because if you live in New York City, that's the only way you can get around." And she said, "Anthony's got a car. And they used to have a chit that you could put on your rearview mirror or on your dashboard if you were part of the entertainment scene or whatever, and you could park anywhere you wanted to, but you had to abide by the law. You just couldn't pull up and park on the sidewalk." And he had his car towed 2 or 3 times because he parked in the wrong place. They didn't pay attention to this tab.
So the rich people get a little special treatment.
A little bit.
It's not rich. He's looking for a place to shoot a movie.
He ain't fucking. He's trying to be parking.
Right. But it's $65 an hour to park.
I agree.
Well, it's not economical to have a car in New York City and try to park all day.
No, I agree with you on that.
I just, as a parent, seeing that in the news,
I couldn't do it.
Hey,
I understand.
She said that as many people as they move a day.
One person getting caught on fire isn't a big deal.
Well, she said you see the highlights. It is a big deal. It's a big deal to us. It'd be a big deal to me.
To them, it's just another day in New York City.
And I think.
Well, and the bums pissing in the corner, and I would not want to subject my 16-year-old daughter to the subway.
First of all, if I had their means and stuff, and I know he has to work there, I would live in Long Island before I lived in Manhattan.
He lives in Brooklyn because that's the place to live.
No, I understand that, but I would not. I would rather my family live Long Island, like where he grew up at.
I understand.
Now, his family, you said, is very conservative.
Oh, but now his dad just died a couple of years ago, and they were 100% Greek, and they came over here and had a costume jewelry business for 50 years, and the Chinese ran them out of business.
So, my question is, when you stay in, because I thought they lived in Manhattan.
They used to.
They lived in a high rise, right?
No, they just built a place.
They're building a place right now, but they live in Brooklyn.
But they lived in Manhattan, right? Yes. On the high rise. So did you ever stay in the high rise when you were there?
Oh yeah.
What's it like? Is it I've never?
You walk
through is there a door guy there that takes?
You got a door guy. You got a mail center. You go up an elevator. They lived on the second floor,
Oh, that wouldn't be bad then.
and you know, you knew the door guy, and you'd leave and say, Brandy would say, "Hey, I'm expecting this, that, or that package coming in the mail. Make sure I get it, or make sure I see it." And the kids knew the door people. But in New York City, during the daytime, you got to park on this side of the street. And at nighttime, you got to park on the other side of the street because of the transit buses and stuff.
I'll be taking Ubers.
And
Walking.
they had to buy a parking place to put their car.
Mm-hmm.
It was sold. It was part of the deal, and they had I don't know. I think they had a $1,500 like a homeowner association deal, but it's $1,500 a month.
God Almighty.
So it's extremely expensive, and they got rid of that. And I think they've still got 2 700 square feet condos left in that same area for investments that they get about $6,000 a month for.
Good Lord. For 700 square feet. That's crazy. And there's somebody's living there is happy and thinking they're living the world's.
People going to medical school and stuff, and it's just. And then they built that 6-bedroom, that 6-story house in Brooklyn.
6 stories? Jesus.
And there's
4 of
Cosmo's the
them.
youngest one left?
Yeah.
13. What are they going to do with all that?
I asked Anthony that, and he said probably going to live there till Cosmo gets out of high school.
Motherfucker might not be built in 5 years.
Well, it's just about done.
How long have they been building on it?
It flooded twice from rains.
Yeah.
And it got stuck in COVID-19. There was nothing that went on.
Okay, so we're 6 years out.
They're just about done with it, and they're living right down the street. But they bought a brownstone, which is 20 or 25 feet wide,
They're beautiful places.
120 feet deep. They tore it down, and that's where they're building it.
Mm.
It's got an elevator. It's crazy. Crazy.
6 stories?
How do
Well,
you,
that includes the basement.
how do you feel
5
about
stories.
Well, that's a normal building there, though. If you think about it,
yeah.
and you're in New York City, that's not that.
That's
That's
where
their house,
That's
though.
not like you're building a 6-story house in Knox
Yeah,
City.
but think about this, Andy. It's 20 or 25 feet wide.
Yeah, everybody gets their own floor.
Okay, and it's 120 feet deep. That ain't very big.
Oh.
Figure 20 by
That's 300 square
120.
foot per floor.
Right. That's
They're
50
building an 1,800 square foot home.
Yeah, 16 or 1,800 square foot home.
Well, I didn't think about that one.
Everybody get their own floor.
I was thinking of it like from here to the sign,
No,
6
they're
stories
not
tall.
building a Taj Mahal.
Everything is straight up.
Yeah, world's
New York
tallest
City.
skyscraper. What do you think about you've got 2 boys now, and you always think you always dream that your kids are going to be something that they're probably never going to be.
Yeah.
So right now, your aspirations and dreams for your boys are probably not realistic about what they're going to do. You never know, though.
I bet they are.
What are your dreams and what do you realistically think they're going to do?
I would be happy if they went to the trade school, HVAC, plumber, electrician.
So you think that's what they're going to do?
I don't think that's what. I don't know what they're going to
Okay,
do. I would
but-
be happy if.
So you're being realistic. You're not like my son's going to be president. My son's going to be the next great NFL quarterback.
I hope that they find something that they're good at and they hone that craft and hopefully they can make a career out of it.
Does it?
If Reese, you've said it before, and I'm starting to agree with you. Reese is a very good debater,
Oh, he's fucking attorney made in heaven.
so I could possibly see attorney. I mean, that there's a lot of steps that kid has to take
Does he-
before he ever even steps into
You're-
law school. But
Does he remind me a lot of your youngest brother when it comes to arguing about shit?
right.
Very much. I mean,
Black and white.
Reese is very, very bright, very intelligent kid.
very
But does
intelligent.
it scare you to think of him moving to New York City at 21 years old and living by himself, or do you look at it like I used to, when Payne first went in the Army, when you first went to Tech?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, Mom, I remember the first night you were at Tech and Mom was crying. I go, what's wrong with you? She goes, just thinking about poor Andy. I'm like, we're talking about poor Andy. She goes, well, he's just up there, don't know a lot of people, blah, blah. I go, have you lost your fucking mind? She goes, what do you mean? I said, I'm 20. I don't even know how old I was. In 35, 40 years old. I'm thinking, you know what I would give to be 18 years old and be in Lubbock, Texas, going out and hanging out all the time? That would be a damn good time.
Sure it would.
But
I think everybody worries about their kid making it in the world.
But the worrying, but once you guys left and I didn't have to worry about you coming home, I didn't worry no more. Well, when you were here and you were supposed to be home at midnight and it's 12:02,
Right.
that's when I'd worry. But once y'all left the house, I didn't worry. But then I would think, I know when Payne first got in the Army, when he got off and he was in Florida or I guess he was in Georgia the first year, his first school he went to. I thought, man, that sucked to not really know nobody there. And then once you meet friends and stuff, it's good.
Well,
and so I like the adventure part of it. So I think it would be cool if Reese lived in Manhattan at 21 or 22 years old and was struggling to put food on the table, calling me or Michelle, could you Venmo me a couple $100 to eat or whatever? Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
It's kind of like me when I went to boot camp, and I walked in Chicago O'Hare. First thing I did after I talked to my dad, I kind of walked over and mingled with the guys that were on the plane with me, and guys that I went up there with. And they had different deals. They held me back because I wore glasses for 2 weeks or a week and a half. But funny story, when I finally got to boot camp, I had hair down below my ears, had a mustache, handlebar mustache.
Cutting that shit off.
Looking good, buddy. Looking good. Got to the duty station. They gave us a set of dungarees and a shirt and boondockers with your shoes and a hat.
And a Bic razor.
We got to bed at 12 o'clock, and then some swinging asshole come in the next morning at 4 o'clock beating on a trash can, say, get out of that rack, you son of a guy. We got to get started. Well, they had us in alphabetical order, and I was the first in line for a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Sat down, the guy said, how you want it cut? And I said, well, kind of trim it up here. And he said, okay. And he went right down the middle, and it was just incredible. But you made friends, and boot camp was not bad at all.
Well, your daughter went to NYU, didn't she? That's how she met her husband. Were you at all nervous sending your daughter to New York City?
Kind of, sort of. But she grew up with an idiot, so.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Not me.
Oh, you're not the idiot?
No, my ex-wife was the idiot.
You figured if she could survive that, she could survive New York
City.
She
did fine. Brandy's a lot like me as far as beating people.
Didn't the ex-wife just pass away, or was it her husband that died?
Her husband.
Okay, yeah.
She's
she
still
killed
hanging
him.
on.
She killed him.
he had a heart. Now listen to this. She's dumber than a rock. He had a heart attack in Tyler, Texas. And instead of driving up to the front door at the emergency room and getting out and getting a wheelchair and saying, he's having a heart attack, she pulls up. She said, get out. He gets out and walks in by himself.
She needs a parking spot.
She went and parked the car, and she walks in and said, where's my husband? Well, who was it? And she said, Mike Dayton. And he said, oh, he just passed out and fell backwards on the floor.
Perfect.
And
that's how he met his demise.
That's why I'm laughing, because I've heard this story before. Steve told it with some other words he used when I heard it the first time. But she killed him, and she's an idiot.
She should have wheeled him in.
Some other things you've said about her. You want to share that?
No. We'll stop at idiot. All right, we got to get out of here. It's been almost 2 hours, and I'm running out.
Before we get out of here, real quick, that P rowboat. I've had so many people ask me questions about that. That will be here as long as Andy has it here. So 50 years from now,
I can't take that motherfucker down. So it's too heavy.
I looked at it. That's only weighs 40 pounds.
Well, it's tough to get
Harry
up there.
tied that up by himself, I think, didn't he?
I tell you what, he did a good job tying it up.
Yeah, he did a good job. I sure miss his ass.
Next time Bob's coming with me at the end of the month. We need to get him. We need to sign the seats on those deals.
I do need to get it signed, and I need to get a placard made for that and my grandpa's flag that's in there, and I need to get something on it because I want y'all's on it. And those decoys are in there. Decoys me and Tony hunted on as a kid with my dad. Yeah, that's what I want to have happen. Is I want Reese, Tony's future grandkids, whoever it is around here, to appreciate all the different things we have around here, because there's a lot of cool knickknacks around here.
Sure.
And I want them to respect and appreciate that when they get older.
I've been on Tony ever since I brought those shotgun shells out here.
Yeah.
You've been on me about putting the deal on them. I'm going to get a case made for them.
They need to be out of the dust. They need to be wiped off and in an enclosed deal, because those things someday will be worth a lot of money.
I don't care about selling them. I want to put them up.
No,
I care about selling them.
There you go. He's going to get rid of every freaking thing. I had a guy try to buy my Indian off of me the other day.
Let's boom, get out of here.
Yeah, I'm running out of storage here. So.
All right. Thank y'all for listening to us. God bless y'all. Be safe. Hook 'em horns.
Watch for deer.
And hail to the Chief, the Redskins, who will not win a playoff game probably. Bye.
Let me have one of these hats.
Check out all of our sponsors. Go check out Boss Shot Shells, Pacific Calls. Use our promo code BHP25. Dive Bomb Industries, Ducks Unlimited, Dirty Duck Coffee, Shin Gear, Looking Glass Podcast, Lucky Duck, Mossberg, MLR Graphics, Stanfield Outfitters, Hemp Hill Farms, Mallard Bay, and Mitchell Chevrolet.